It was a bitterly cold afternoon in New York City. The streets were packed as always, pedestrians rushing to their destinations, taxis honking aggressively, and street vendors trying to attract customers. But amidst all the chaos, sitting near a subway entrance, was a man that most people ignored. Jack Thompson, a homeless veteran, sat quietly on the frozen pavement. His body ached from the cold, and his sign, now smudged and bent, read, "I am a veteran. Please help." Despite his years of military service, Jack had been cast aside by life. He had been invisible for so long that he no longer expected anyone to stop. Jack shivered and pulled his tattered coat tighter around him. He glanced up momentarily, watching the endless flow of people pass by without so much as a glance in his direction. He sighed deeply. He had hoped for at least a few dollars by now, enough to get a hot meal. But today was just like all the others. Or so he thought. At that moment, he noticed a sleek black SUV pull up across the street. From inside the vehicle, several well-dressed men in suits stepped out, scanning the area with serious, focused eyes. A moment later, Donald Trump emerged from the car. Jack immediately recognized him. How could he not? The man's face was everywhere: TV, newspapers, magazines. Trump? Jack muttered under his breath, puzzled. Trump adjusted his overcoat and looked around the street. His sharp gaze eventually landed on Jack. For a moment, Jack felt exposed, like Trump was seeing right through him. He quickly lowered his head, assuming it was just a coincidence. But it wasn't. Trump began crossing the street, his security detail scrambling to keep up. The crowd around them froze, whispering excitedly. People pulled out their phones, snapping pictures and recording video. Was Donald Trump really walking toward a homeless man? Jack felt a knot tighten in his stomach. What was happening? Was this some kind of publicity stunt? Before he could gather his thoughts, Trump was standing right in front of him. "Hey," Trump said, his tone surprisingly gentle but firm. "You a veteran?" Jack hesitated, stunned that Trump was actually speaking to him. He coughed awkwardly before replying, "Yes, sir. Marine Corps. 2 tours overseas." Trump's eyes narrowed slightly as he absorbed Jack's words. 2 tours, he repeated quietly. "What are you doing out here? How did this happen?" Jack shifted uncomfortably. He wasn't used to talking about his problems, especially not with someone like Trump. But something in Trump's tone encouraged him to open up. "It's a long story," Jack began. "After I got back, I struggled with PTSD. Had some injuries, too. I tried to hold down jobs, but it didn't work out. One thing led to another, and, well," he gestured to his sign and the cold pavement beneath him. "Here I am." Trump crossed his arms, his expression hardening. "That's unacceptable. You served this country, and now you're freezing out here. No one should have to go through that." Jack blinked, surprised by the intensity in Trump's voice. I appreciate that, sir. But people like me, we're forgotten. The system failed you," Trump interrupted. "But I won't." Jack stared at him, unsure if he had heard correctly. "What do you mean?" "I mean you're coming with me," Trump said firmly. He motioned to his security detail. "We're going to get you out of this cold, get you some real food, and talk about how we can fix this." Jack was speechless. He wanted to believe Trump, but years of disappointment had made him cautious. You're serious?" "Dead serious," Trump replied. "I don't make empty promises." Still in shock, Jack slowly got to his feet. The security guards guided him toward the waiting SUV, but Jack hesitated again. "Wait, why are you doing this? Why me?" Trump stopped and looked him straight in the eye. "Because I believe in taking care of those who took care of us. You gave everything for this country. Now it's time someone had your back." Jack nodded silently and climbed into the SUV. The warmth inside was almost overwhelming after hours in the freezing air. He glanced around nervously at the high-tech interior, feeling out of place. Trump sat beside him, typing something on his phone before turning his attention back to Jack. "Tell me more about your service," Trump said. "What was it like out there?" Jack sighed deeply, the memories flooding back. "It was rough. I lost friends. Saw things I wouldn't wish on anyone. When I came home, I thought the worst was over, but," he paused, struggling to find the right words. "It's like the war followed me. Nightmares, panic attacks. I couldn't shake it." Trump nodded thoughtfully. "You're not alone in that. I've spoken to a lot of veterans who've said the same thing. The system isn't designed to handle what you guys go through." The conversation continued as they drove through the city. For the first time in years, Jack felt like someone was truly listening to him. By the time they arrived at an upscale restaurant, his guard had started to come down. Inside, Jack hesitated, feeling out of place among the well-dressed patrons. But Trump guided him forward confidently. "Don't worry about them," he said. "You're my guest." The staff greeted Trump with nervous excitement. "Mr. Trump, welcome. Right this way." Once seated, Trump handed Jack a menu. "Order whatever you want. Steak, seafood, dessert, go all out." Jack hesitated. "I don't want to, no excuses," Trump interrupted. "You've earned this." Jack eventually ordered a steak dinner with all the sides. When the food arrived, he almost teared up at the sight of the perfectly cooked meal. He took a bite and closed his eyes, savoring the warmth and flavor. "This is amazing," he whispered. Trump smiled. "Good. Now, here's the deal. This isn't a one-time thing. After tonight, you're moving into one of my apartments. Rent-free. We'll also get you into therapy and find you a job through one of my contacts. You're going to rebuild your life, Jack." Jack stared at him in disbelief. "You'd really do all that? For me?" "Absolutely," Trump replied. "And one day, when you're back on your feet, you'll pay it forward. Deal?" Jack swallowed hard, his eyes glistening with emotion. "Deal." Over the next few weeks, Trump kept his word. Jack moved into a clean, furnished apartment and began attending therapy. He eventually found a job at a veterans organization, helping others who had faced similar struggles. His story spread like wildfire, inspiring countless others to step up and support homeless veterans. And through it all, Jack never forgot that cold day in New York when Donald Trump had seen him, truly seen him, and changed his life forever.